volume. Let me
Actually, I might get louder than that. This might be how I speak sometimes.
Oh.
Just a bit louder, out of passion.
That's fine. Passion for the circles. I turned myself way down right now. Happy's way too loud. Should be good now. All right. Let's see. You can adjust however you want. You're a little bit close to the cam, but it's you know, same as with toy. I can't unless you really want to move backwards. It's up to you.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll probably lean down like this.
Just chill.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate. You know, any people were very excited to have you on. I remember when I uploaded the Azer and the toy interviews, people were like, you know, who would be awesome on this?
Yeah.
Rohulk. And I was thinking to myself, ha, way ahead of you. I asked him already 2 weeks ago. So
I was very flattered. Yeah. I was excited since I saw that first episode. I'm like, damn, this actually has helped me. Like, you'd think, oh, this guy doesn't need help. No, like I've had huge problems, and just watching 20 minutes of the first episode, I'm like, wow, maybe I've refound myself. Like,
yeah, it's very interesting. It's awesome, especially including for me. The past week, a lot of introspection, a lot of new feedback. It's really awesome to, you know, get all this information that then gives you new outlooks and how you should approach stuff, especially about something that you're just passionate about. As because I think that for you, it's no secret as well that you're passionate as fuck about circles. Doesn't matter what that says about you in real life. I mean, we're passionate about circles, and that's okay.
I think also has been the most fun game I've found in my life. Like, I don't think there has been any game I played as intensively and seriously than also. I mean, sure, I probably played like other games more, but not just, those are just for fun, while this has become sort of a life goal.
Yeah, I feel what you mean. That sounds really weird to say, but I definitely agree. What is it specifically about Osu for you that makes it as interesting as it is?
Well, I like rhythm games in general.
I
haven't played many, but the few I've played, I appreciate a weird feeling of connecting with the music and whatever you're doing on the screen at the same time, and everything works together and just makes your brain enjoy everything. It's like, if I listen to the music on its own, it's not as good as if I am playing that music.
Right, like really gets you in there.
Yeah. I found also through a friend that was playing Guitar Hero / Phase Shift, just like me, and he was like, "Oh, check out this game. Maybe you'll like it." And I got put off because of how seemingly hard it was. Like, I don't know, much time ago, 3.5 years ago.
And when did you actually start playing? How long has that been?
18th of December 2014.
18th of December 2014. Okay, that's 2.5 years ago. That's not long at all. It's crazy. I remember you kind of popping on the scene. Everyone was pretty much, like 90% of people were convinced you were hacking. I remember myself, and that's obviously nothing personal. I just left my judgment in the middle. I'm like, this guy seems very fishy. I'm not gonna judge though. I'll just see how it goes. What was kind of your... Did you, from the first moment that you realized you had a spark for Osu, kind of just set this goal for yourself and then start working towards, or how did that work for you?
So I have on my profile a very ghetto setup of like what happened in the timeline.
Right. But
it mostly has the very early stuff, and it says at some point like, oh, I started playing also seriously, and that was when I was working at the meantime, and I was like, I don't like this job, but I can see myself
clicking circles for a living.
Like, seriously, yeah, the working online, whether it's streaming or any other media type,
right,
to work on. I always wanted to do this, and I needed something that was incredibly fun, and I felt I felt like I could be good at it, which means
what made you feel that way? Like, what was the spark initially for you that made it into something that you really committed to and then boosted through the roof in terms of how fast you progressed?
Oh, do you mean like down the line or in the beginning?
In the beginning, mainly.
Okay. I watched some CocoZ replays and I'm like, maybe do that. Like that's all. I saw some really high-end plays, probably some from... Oh yeah, I saw Ruruchi's Big Black. I saw a couple others, but I don't remember from who. And
yeah,
then they seemed really fun. And it's not like... It wasn't like, oh, I don't understand this at all. No, it was like, I get perfectly what he's doing, but the fact that he's doing it so flawlessly just means that I would need to work lots for it. But the fact that I understand it in the first place gave me lots of confidence in my potential ability to achieve whatever I could.
Because that seems to have been always a big thing for you, is that even though initially you might not have really nearly been as good, you very quickly climbed, and throughout the thing it seems that you were always like, it's because I know that I can do this, and you worked at it, and eventually it's basically, yeah, you actually can do this. Like, do you think that you're kind of a special case in that regard, or do you think that it's more of a mindset thing that you happen to have or developed?
Well, it's that I think I was lucky to get into also the way I started, because I already, while playing Guitar Hero and Face Shift, had the mentality of sort of thoroughly playing the game, and that, for me at least, never sacrificed any fun for it. The only thing that would make the fun diminish would be the time put into it. Just makes me be more and more bored, or, well, we'll come back to this later when we discuss
burnouts,
yeah. That's also a big problem, but it's surprisingly easy to fix, at least for me, the burnout problem.
Yeah, that's something that I find myself getting better at over time as well. People frequently ask me, because I've been playing for 8 years at this point, 8.5 maybe, I don't know, a long ass time. Over time, I find myself getting better and better even at somehow not burning out, and it's a very interesting process. For me personally, I find that I approach the game differently, and that then really helps fix my burnout. How about you yourself? Are there any specific approaches that you take?
To not get burned out, I... Only recently I've started to get into mods and songs and mentalities of playing that I didn't want to get into before.
Right.
But in a way that, how should I say, like, I forgot my way of playing since the beginning, which was this sort of thoroughness of playing while not losing any fun, and getting into that, using that to get into whatever I need to do to get better. It's not about what I play and how much. It's how I enter the song or the session or whatever.
Right.
I've noticed that if I have expectations, the more I do have expectations, the more chance becomes that I just don't enjoy myself.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that.
Because I want to achieve this, and this, and I want to see, like, concrete, oh, I hit this pattern, good, move on. And it got to the point where even when I luckily got very good plays or hit very hard patterns, I was like, whatever. That's normal. I should be able to do that. Why should I be happy about it? And then I moved on, and I still was grumpy, and they got worse and worse. And yeah, that was not good. I don't even know where this question started. I
Well,
segue into everything.
One thing that people unanimously associate with you is your lack of basically retrying, which is very much. I don't say you never retry. Like I'm not completely aware of what your actual approach is, but that's seems to be unanimously what people associate with you. What's your thought process behind it?
It didn't start as a justification for increasing skill and getting to my goal, which is to be the best in Osu. It started as just this thoroughness of playing the rhythm game. I played mainly for the music. The game was still very enjoyable, but nothing comes above the music. The music always interested me and how it blended with the game and so on. So it started more as a personal preference, like how I have fun.
Interesting.
That's how I did it. I just didn't retry, because imagine in Phase Shift and Guitar Hero, the average length is like 5-6 minutes. You don't get.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, you don't get super short songs at all.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, long songs, no problem. I'll play.
And there's like 2-3 minutes, and it's like, oh, that's nothing. Whereas, you know, for a lot of Osu players, it's like, oh my god, this is so long. I can't sit through that. I already missed.
Yeah.
No, but I really feel like, in terms of your consistency, it's pretty crazy how you get plays in comparison to a lot of other players, where they'll retry a bunch and then they'll just get like a lucky play. You seem to basically either not really get any plays at all, or you tend to get a first or second try. Is that right? Or do you actually have sessions where you retry a map consistently?
I've started retrying, I think. It was shortly after I started playing. I did have days where I was like, I want to FC this, because I feel like I really like this map and song, but then it turned from liking it to just a useless obsession of FCing it. And that's how I discovered that I'm not a retry kind of player, whether I want it or not.
Okay.
Because it's more about the focus, which I didn't realize it existed, which I needed to maintain, and that means not getting bored of the song, which for me apparently is a very low threshold. I get bored rather quickly, but I do retry maps occasionally when I don't get bored. Okay. And it's very nice when I don't get bored. I actually don't lose skill, and yeah, in some cases, even 30 retries, I can still go. I still don't FC, but that doesn't mean I don't have fun. It happens.
That's a very respectable trait, I feel, because for a lot of people, I feel like they fall into these retry traps because they're basically looking for that feel-good moment where they, you know, get that hard pattern or that large combo going, and to kind of deny yourself that and to just not retry and be like, all right, well, I missed in the beginning. It means I'm not gonna FC. It means I'm not gonna get that huge like dopamine burst, but that's okay. So in that sense, I feel it's a very respectable trait, because for most people that retry a lot, they start shit missing, and it kills your mood, it gives you bad habits, and you're kind of sidetracking that entirely and not really running into those issues because of that. Does that sound about right, or what do you feel?
Yeah, again, I did get into the retry trap a few times, and those were one of the worst days I could possibly have in my screaming, grumpiness, and at the end, silence, because I don't want to say anything anymore. And but I want to say retrying is not bad, but this is a very big if, because knowing that you have the focus down and you can do it regardless of if you think you're having fun or not, like this requires a lot of mental control, which is hard, period, and then a bit harder to know, because you need sort of a self-awareness as hardcore intense you are focusing at what you're doing. Like, if you have that self-awareness, you can feel, okay, I'm fine, I can retry, everything is good. But you need to have self-awareness for that, and not everyone has it, as far as I've noticed. It's just you can start having self-awareness if you intentionally pay attention to every feeling in your brain while you play. That will obviously make you play worse, because focus is like this I don't know what to call it, like a plate of food that everyone eats from, being your rhythm sense, your reading, your
Right.
muscle control, like your hands. And if you focus on extra things above that, like your life and so on, then the potential focus you can put into the game becomes much less. So it's fine if you play worse, but I think it's good to start being more self-aware if you intend to get better at the game. This will take a long time because it takes lots of trial and error to see, okay, you feel like this here, you feel like that there.
It's very hard, yeah, to be aware of your emotions.
Yeah, and then you figure out eventually what specifically you need to do to improve. If improving is your goal, then being starting to be self-aware is very good.
Right. What do you feel? Because you know, 2.5 years while we've been playing, that's really not a long time. What do you feel were the most important things for you to go from starting out to being, well, basically my rank at this point, someone that's been playing for 8 years? Like, what do you feel would be the difference between your approach, how you approach it personally, versus, you know, someone like me that's plateaued a lot, or just new players in general?
Okay, so if talent doesn't have any part to do in it, it is a lot about these actually very unintuitive mental habits that you go into doing something. I don't know when you started to play the game seriously, and you probably had moments when you're like, oh, I don't care, I'm just gonna play this for enjoyment. You're not gonna think much. Everyone has that. Crap. I lost my train of thought a bit. I knew this would happen.
No worries.
Okay.
The topic is only focus, so you're totally not ironically losing focus on what you were talking about.
Yeah, you...
No, not me in particular. Like, I'm pretty self-aware. Just for you know, just like a general audience. What made it for you that you could, like, when people ask what can I do to get better, there's tons of people that want to get better, but the advice that they get is play more, which obviously is very empty advice. What do you feel are some things that you've done that are different from that general long-term process that people seem to go through?
Okay, the long-term I want to spin it differently, but I don't know how. It is just this overall intent of improving and seeking out what I'm doing wrong when obviously things are not working out. And this can be hard too. And that's why I think it can be very important for you to have friends or people you can talk to about it and discuss these sorts of topics. Maybe even, okay, analyzing your own replays to see what you're doing wrong is also a thing, but I've never felt like
I've never done that. Yeah, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, I think for a lot of people that say I want to get better, they don't actually want to put in the process required to get there. And I think that that is a lot of the difference between someone like you, who actually then does, you know, you are honest with yourself about what you're doing wrong, or at least you try to be as much as you can. Then you work on it actively, versus a lot of players say, I want to get better, but they don't really want to put in that effort. Do you feel that that is accurate, or do you think that applies to you?
It is accurate. Like, I wanted to bring this point up. Imagine also like a bunch of, or life in general even, like a bunch of sliders that you move from left to right, and moving any one slider affects all the others. For those people, sadly, like how they are, it's preference and predisposition more or less, which can be fixed through intense sort of self-awareness and willpower. But people like that have fun a very specific way with also. They found it and they loved it, but in the amount of time they played it, they enjoyed it thoroughly. But doing the same thing in also the same way for the same goal gets repetitive, stale. You get burned out, and then you lose that spark. So
right,
those people don't want to sacrifice what they had for potential more fun in the future, because that's all it is. They just don't have fun with whatever is happening in Osu. And I guess for us and others that want to help, it's important to sort of remind them of the different possibilities in which they can refine that passion. But it's true, they do need to put in a minimal effort. Like it's one thing to not know what to do, and to not do it, and it's another to know what to try at least, and not even try it.
I think that's the hard part for most people, because it requires active discipline to, you know, it tends to be like someone that is overweight knows that they need to go on a diet, and it takes 2 seconds on Google to know what a general diet is. It's a caloric deficit. But, you know, 90% of people get stuck on that step because that is the hard part. Including for me, like this past week and the coming couple of weeks is really just about putting in that self-discipline, focusing on stuff that I don't like. But when I think back, I've been playing for 8 years. I've wasted so much time just trying, or just thinking that I was putting in time, thinking that I was practicing, whereas in reality, what I was really doing was just trying to feel good in the short term, doing stuff that I was already good at. And I think that is, you know, for most people, the main crux that they run into.
Yeah, as I said, it's a very fine sort of balance with those sliders, that you sacrifice a bit of fun now, but you can get help from other places, from people encouraging you, or okay, dude, I kind of want to go into another bad habits sort of topic, like maps you play. You can improve your fun by having just lots and lots of maps and songs you can pick from. Now, this is another big issue, because not everyone plays for the same reason you or I do, like music or enjoying the game. And sadly, I don't know a solution to that, because it's a very fundamental preference.
Yeah, it's really hard. It completely determines what your outlook is, and then your outlook determines everything else that you feel and think about the game and how you approach it. That's why it's so hard to really get like this general view that everyone can understand, because it's all very personal.
Big advice again: if you don't know how to get into it, the easiest way you can do it is either a mod or different kind of maps, is doing your most favorite kind of maps, like whatever favorite mapper you have, or your most favorite kinds of songs. Like easing in to something that you need to do to improve, to then have fun later, or for whatever other reason, is the best way to go. And there's other ways to ease in, but you kind of need to figure it out on your own, because it's very like there's no list right now of like things you can do to maybe get into something. And also, I'm sure there's other ways.
No, I know exactly what you mean. And also an underestimated aspect is that it takes some time investment into a new area of skill before you can actually start enjoying the process of getting better at it. Especially something like reading. That's like what I'm noticing right now. When people tell you, oh, get better at reading, play old maps, and then you're playing old maps and you're like, oh my god, I hate doing this. I don't even like this. This is slow, this is weird, I can't read it. And now that I'm kind of focusing on like 8.5 and 9, and I find myself being a little bit more able to read those older maps, they also become more fun. And it's like this gateway that you kind of have to create yourself somehow to then, you know, be able to even enter that area. Do you have any experience with that in any particular like areas of play, or because you mainly focus on Hidden Auroch, do you find yourself kind of stuck in that in any way, or?
Yes, when I play tournaments, I get reminded that
I've seen that.
I'm not very good at them unless it's hidden hard rock or a specific kind of mapping or approach rate or whatever. Right, I have done something, but well, mostly training, and it was still very fun because I got into it through songs. I played mainly my favorite kinds of songs with people might know this, the low AR OD10 training, where I edit maps on any like AR8 and below and OD10, and then I just played them using rhythm sense mostly. Like I hardly tried to figure out what the pattern is. I mostly tried to act. Can
you give a little bit of context as to what your different like senses are? Like you say you have rhythm sense. What are your? Because I know I've caught glimpses of you doing like rants on your stream, but for a lot of people, they might not be as familiar with your approaches on that.
I will forget some of them, but I can say
there's like 50.
Yeah, there's at least 5. Okay, so there's rhythm sense, which is like feeling the rhythm of the song either through the music itself, hit sounds, or creating like a metronome in your head, which is the hardest thing to do. Don't start with that if you don't know what where to start. It's an experience thing. Reading, but I don't even know how to describe reading because it's whatever. I'm gonna leave it at reading.
It's just short, like bullet points.
Yeah, aim, stamina, and speed, and then there's in between things that is a combination of everything.
Right,
like
of course.
Like coordination, and muscle memory, and I don't like it. Oh yeah. Well, yeah. There is pattern recognition, and then just individual note zoning in. But yeah, those are the main things. Everything from that is just like semantics, or if you want to theory craft more, then you can go ahead. But these are the main things.
And what do you feel yourself using most out of that? Because it seems like there are kind of different things that you've gone through in the 2.5 years that you've played and like experimented with. What do you find yourself to be most useful? And what do you feel most of the other really good players, really consistent players rather, mainly focus on? Because that's a large area of people not being so sure. What is the difference between someone that's very good but not consistent versus someone that's actually very consistent?
Someone who's very consistent, consciously or unconsciously, has everything down at the minimum level to achieve whatever FC or SS or close to it. And before other players, I'm gonna say for myself. For myself, I've discovered, like, I don't know, a year ago or something, as I continued theory crafting and so on, said reading is the base of everything, and as reading goes up, everything follows it.
Right.
Second most important thing, which is the glue or the concrete of the structure, is rhythm sense. You should have reading first and rhythm sense close second. And Adam QS, for example, I don't think he focuses on rhythm at all. I'm not sure. Either it's one or the other, but I think he doesn't focus on rhythm sense, just on reading, but he still has very good accuracy.
Yeah.
And that means he just has it in himself to use that rhythm sense. Or, okay, on the very high level, on high approach rates, like 9.8 plus, you can use reading, the fading of the slider, to know when to hit a note.
Right.
But oh my god, focusing on that, just it's as intensive as playing AR-11.
I mean, because I have all the experience with that, because I've literally never really done anything rhythm related. My reading has always sucked, and confronting all these things, I realized just to what extent I'm basically only a visual player. where, you know, as long as something visually makes sense, I can play it. But as a result, I'm very inconsistent. Do you feel like, how do I phrase this? I lost my train of thought. Damn it. We're 1 for 1. Yeah, then? Go for it.
Do you think you have rhythm sense?
I don't know. I probably do. The thing about it is, first of all, my reading is so bad that my reading requires a lot of focus, so it takes away a lot of my, like, focus pool, right? Like, I need to focus on reading a lot. So rhythm is kind of, you know, I can't focus 100% on it. Lost my train of thought again. Oh, man. Wait. Right, okay, no, I got it. Wait, before I forget.
Okay.
I noticed that basically throughout the past week, I've been fighting against this established habit of focusing on combo. It's like this constant self-awareness where I constantly have to pull myself back to focusing on what's next, focusing on the pattern as a whole, and not like kind of getting that panicky, like spammy thing going on where you're like not fully reading, but you kind of know how to read. I'm sure you kind of understand what I mean. It's hard to
I know.
Explain.
You don't realize it, but or maybe you do. You start thinking about facts at that point. What's gonna happen now? Am I gonna miss? Am I gonna continue combo? I need to focus. I need to do these. The hardest thing is to just be into it without thinking I want to be into it, which starts off as a very slow building up process of, okay, I enter this song, and even throughout playing, you say, I don't give a shit. I just sort of thoughtlessly play this map, but it's like a firm focus. But if you try too hard, that's what happens. You start thinking about facts, and that's what takes away from that unconscious effort of achieving like combo or FC or whatever. That's what happens. You just you lose what's important, which is focusing on the game, on the circles and rhythm. Not your hands, though. This is another mistake people do about bad habits. People think that focusing on one hand or the other can be beneficial. In the short term, maybe to figure out if you have issues, like if your setup is uncomfortable, or how you are mistapping on the keyboard, or if your hardware is defective, or so on. But if you want to improve faster long term, it's best to just let your brain and hands figure out what they need to do to achieve whatever goal you set for yourself, because the brain does do that whether you realize it or not. You don't necessarily need conscious input to do something. It does it by itself.
I agree with that.
Yeah, focusing on hands takes away from that focus, which I was talking about. You do worse.
Which is something that maybe you also have experience with when you're streaming on, you know, so not on Twitch. When you're streaming, you start feeling your hand streaming. That's when you start getting tired. That's when you start fucking up. That's when all kinds of bad things happen.
Yes,
whereas you just kind of let it flow. It's much, much, much better. It's infinitely better.
Yes, that's my problem currently. I've gone through every single issue I can think of, and somehow got back from it. I'm not sure how, but I guess I got back from it. And right now it is single tapping many consecutive notes. Like, I have the speeds for it, I have the stamina more or less for it, but it freezes. It doesn't want to do anything, and that alone makes me like, what are you doing? So, you know, it doesn't want to listen to what we need. To what I want.
Whenever that happens to me, something maybe for you to consider is my snapping is the thing that lacks in that case. When I derp on singles, it's because my snapping, my reading kind of derps out. And then the snapping does. Okay, so all that discussed, what do you feel are still things that you personally run into that are really hard for you to conquer? Like actual skill set, not necessarily mindset related, but what's keeping you from going to that next level?
I think coordination, which is both aim and tapping together. Like I might have the stamina for it, I might have the speed for it, I might have the aim for it, but there's always something lacking. Mainly this. It's like, you know, you do tap to the rhythm, and you do aim relatively well, but you either aim too fast or too slow, or tap too fast or too slow, and that's coordination. And I can never fix that permanently. Like there's always short-term fixes to it, like a conscious effort on how you think about the game, but I've never gotten over it unless it's one of those magical days where everything just clicks together without you trying much.
Do you think that might be partially because you overthink it so much?
Yeah, I think that's a huge issue about it. I don't know, like, is anyone interested in what recent revelation I've had?
Of course.
Right now, and what I've had in the past.
You're the guest.
Like, yeah, I wanted to talk about that secret focus video I have on YouTube, where it's a stream clip where I talk about, okay.
I think I've watched it, yeah.
It's like, okay, I've discovered a conscious way to focus, and it's almost perfect. All it takes is some polishing, but of course, even that disappeared. But it was basically just registering the patterns as they come, sort of like a conveyor belt. You see everything at once, and you count taps, and you use that counting in your head to move your tapping hand, which is interesting because I said don't try to focus on your hands, but that's what it required, and it worked very well for a little while, and then it went away, and I couldn't do it anymore. And recently, like now when the first interview episode aired, again I was in one of my stoops, like, oh god, I feel like shit, I can't deal with this anymore. And then I'm like, so how did I do it in the beginning, which was just enjoying everything at once, like how the maps and songs blend, and how that magic of the game itself, and it became very fun. It actually works, just having fun and not focusing on anything in particular except you need to focus so that you don't lose focus. That's
I think I understand what you mean. I think I've experienced that. There's these very like technical maps that are like kind of on the edge of my skill level, like Akali maps come to mind for me personally, where I do that like conveyor belt style play, but it is in combination with just really enjoying the map and really just getting into that like flow with it.
Yes,
which seems to be essential for that, and it feels really good. It's really nice.
Yeah, Akali makes some magical maps where the map and the song just like this, and you can't not notice it. It's so hard.
Yeah.
To not notice the blend of them. It's like it's not music. It's not clicking circles. It's like, wow, you feel what you should have been feeling all this time.
Maps LSD. What do you personally feel? Because I've asked Azer and Toy this. In terms of the greats, so to speak, people like CocoZ and whoever else you would feel as a great, what do you personally feel is different in their approach, or different in their skill set that they've worked on, compared to, well, I'm gonna say you and me?
From my observation, I think, knowingly or unknowingly, figured out a way of thinking about how they play the game, whatever, and again, knowingly or unknowingly stuck with it. Sadly, I haven't looked into it too much, but it has to do a lot with mentality and how you focus at the same time. Like if you don't have the mentality, you can't focus. If you don't know how to focus, you have to rely on how you're predisposed to do things, or you just get burned out eventually. Like you lose what you need to think about, and that's what they are doing now. We haven't talked much about retrying, have we? Oh no, right. So there's the sight reading aspect of it.
Right.
And I noticed on CocoZ that he's not necessarily the best at sight reading, at least not the sort of curveballs that are thrown into maps.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
I've seen him SS 7-star maps within Hajok. There are some maps where he's like, whoa, okay, I didn't catch that, but it's... And then he played the map a second time, and it's sort of like having another plate, but of patterns in your head. And you just use every one of those patterns you have ready to play whenever you need them to, because I noticed, like, okay, he missed those sets of doubles the first time, but then he's like, okay, this map has this sort of pattern in it, and he's ready for the second time it happens in the map, and he doesn't miss at all. And retrying, I think there are some people, like I think the majority, which when retrying they are able to use the patterns they see in the map better and better and better until they FC. It's not necessarily true that they get bored of it. They are just able to play better and better from memory, and they can apply what they see more effectively. I think that's what happens with some retry players, and that's fine. Like Haxwell, if you know Haxwell, he's
the number one farmer, right? I think he plays for
he
number
has 4,000 and something. 4,000 and something number ones, and he retries over and over again. He never gets bored. That's just how he enjoys the game, by farming number ones. And he is able to do what I said. Now, if you're a retry player, obviously the only problem you have, and for the sight read player, is your raw skill, like how good you actually are. You can't, as much as you know what's happening, you sometimes just can't aim something correctly or tap it at the right time or speed, and that's the only limitation at that point. Once you figure out what your mix of retrying versus not retrying is, like how much you retry or not,
right,
that's your only limit. You need to figure out how to improve those skills.
I think that to both things, you mentioned in CocoZ and when there's unusual patterns, him not necessarily being able to do it. I think the underlying concept there is that he will only make movements once he has solved a pattern. Once the pattern makes sense to him, he will then go through the motions. And then it follows that if there's something that is super funky, you might not be able to instantly do that, and that's when he derps. But then the second time, you will have figured out that pattern and then be able to do it as a result. So I think that largely comes down to he never really goes for a pattern unless he completely understands how it's played. You frequently see it when he's playing, he'll like adjust mid pattern because he like then realizes, oh shit, it's actually like this. To the second thing, oh sorry, go for it.
I was gonna relate this to what I said, that sort of general feel of the game, like the music plus the maps. I think he has this habit that he plays that way. Like he tries to in a as perfect way as possible as he can, like aiming to the rhythm of the pattern you can do it even if it's not on rhythm, you know, like you sort of have that feel of how it should work,
right,
based on the BPM and the pattern itself. You can adjust like off rhythm because you have it in your head. Okay, this is how it should have been. I can do it. And then he moves on.
Yeah, and with regards to the retrying aspect, I think that what you said about being bored is a very important aspect. I think that for a lot of people that retry a lot, myself included, we think it's because we're trying to get that FC, but in reality, it's because we get bored with, or rather, we are bored with the map until the part where we miss, and because we're bored with the entire map until the part where we miss, we are basically playing it poorly because we're bored with it. And when you're bored with a map, you're not going to be able to focus on it, and therefore you're going to shit miss. And that then like creates this loop where you do worse and worse and worse. Whereas people that don't have that issue, they do manage to keep that enjoyment through those retries. Yeah, like you said.
I thought of a very easy solution to this, which works for me too. It's just you need to just remove yourself from what you feel or want to do, and move on to another map, like completely different mod if you want, or a completely different song and map, and just like brainlessly play it. Do between 1 and 3 of those, and then move on again to what you wanted to do. And it's like your reading is refreshed, your focus is refreshed. You're like, oh, back to this. Okay, I'm having fun now actually, and I can focus better. So yeah, that's easier. An easier way to do it.
By the way, if there's any viewer questions, go right ahead. We've been going for about 45 minutes now, so we have about 15 more minutes to go. Do you have any specific, because for all intents and purposes, you're kind of a new player, as it is 2.5 years. You're not that far removed from players that have been playing for like 6 months to a year, surely in terms of time scale, right? Not in terms of skill, in terms of time scale. So what would you say are some good pointers for people that have been playing for maybe 6 months to a year, that want to, you know, just some general pointers.
That want to improve? That want to improve?
Yeah, that want to improve.
Well, if you have the determination, okay, I'm gonna talk to players like myself, which started like casually for a couple of weeks, then went into it with an end goal. Don't let yourself be blinded by your goal, and neither by comparing yourself to other players or comparing yourself to yourself also. You should find what makes you spark for the game, and remember that. And when you feel like you want to quit before making that decision, see what made you go into this journey in the first place. Remember that feeling and go for it again. If you know that feeling, then it shouldn't be hard to get back. And then always know, well, yeah, you will figure out what exactly made you not enjoy yourself anymore.
Right.
But yeah, basically don't compare too much. Don't compare too much to what your expectations are, to what you were in the past, or to other players. If you can separate those things, then that's awesome. But very few people can sort of look at things from a third-person perspective and not feel anything about it.
But yeah, that's so many people. Whenever people ask questions like, oh, I'm this rank and I did this, am I good? Or, you know, it's always the first thought in my head is like, you should not be asking these things. The fact that you're asking these things shows that you have a mindset that is just not going to get you anywhere.
Well, it can get you, because there are people who, if they compare themselves, they're like motivated. Fuck yeah, I'm gonna beat that. I'm gonna beat that guy, and I'm gonna get better than him. And I don't care how good he is. The better he is, the more determined I am, and so on. And I felt that sometimes too. And you know, it's like manage your emotions and expectations. Like, know yourself better. Be very self-aware. Oh, another advice for new players. don't limit yourself to just a couple hundred or even like 500 different maps. I think that's still a low number. Like there are so many maps and songs you can experience in Osu. Even if you're a rank 50,000 player, there are so many. You just need to sort of separate your preferences from your goal.
Right.
And let that spark that I was talking about do the enjoyment for you. Even if you don't either enjoy the map or the song, make sure you always enjoy one of them, and that spark will take care of it. And because playing as many maps and songs as possible teaches you so many patterns, rhythms, readings. Like you start figuring out more and more. For me, it was unconsciously. Like I started playing just anything because I played mostly multiplayer, which is a good way of finding many maps. Multiplayer will,
oh right, I remember that. Yeah, you playing just a boatload of multiplayer.
You know, people will show you maps that you never knew before, and you're like, oh yeah, I definitely enjoy this.
Yeah, it's really easy to fall into that trap of just playing like the same 20, 30 maps over and over.
Yeah.
And then you start to be overly conscious, and then you're like comparing yourself to like 2 days ago, and you do worse, and you're like, why am I not getting better? And it's just spiral that's gets worse and worse. Do you feel that the... Sorry. Go for it.
No. I will. Oh. I would have just repeated myself.
How do you feel about alternating everything, including slow stuff, versus single tapping? Do you have any experience with trying both, or is what GV asks?
Okay, so definitely it requires different kind of reading, single tapping versus alternating. Now, I've experienced the best kind of mode of playing while single tapping. I've had the same reading while alternating. Like you just have this perspective of everything at once and everything flows while single tapping. But that takes either a very solid mental habit of playing, or you have very good stamina and muscle memory, and your hand is basically buttery smooth, and you don't need to think about it at all, and you can focus only on the rhythm and circles. It's alternating, I think, is very useful, but not if you want to gain much stamina. I've never actually experimented with this. Like if you do single tapping stamina training, if that will improve your stream training. I've heard from Rafis that it does, but I can't confirm that on my own.
Right.
While alternating, you alternate those very low BPM patterns that you would normally single tap. You don't get any stamina from that. Like you sacrifice improvement versus consistency. That's the only thing. Like if you want to get better, do it by single tapping. You don't have to stop alternating. Like if you want to go for FCs, just alternate it. If you want to gain stamina, single tap it. Like if you have a session of improvement and don't care how well you play a song, you play only for raw skill gain, then go for single tapping.
I think one thing that's
improve your stamina.
That's important for single tapping to keep in mind is that for me, I've experienced a lot of that, is that it's very easy to just start kind of mashing instead of actually properly paying attention to rhythm. That's something that I personally fell into quite easily, and I feel like that is something that other people quite easily fall into as well, whereas alternating kind of forces you to not let go of that rhythm approach.
Yeah, the single tapping is indeed harder to stay into the zone, which is what I said with like feeling the game as it should be and then knowing what to do based on that feeling. Single tapping takes away focus from that. That's all it does, because it takes more, I would say more coordination, maybe more like more precision on how you tap, because it's very fast and hard motions that you do when you single tap, while if you alternate, it may be easier to control that.
It's a lot more flowy.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Do you have any, like, closing thoughts in terms of what you feel are worst practices and best practices to really commit to for long-term gain?
Worst practices is tunnel visioning, losing yourself, not playing enough maps, not enjoying the circles plus rhythm combination fully, and just generally not becoming more self-aware about what your issues are if you have issues, because if you don't, then you're a top player most likely. And if for good habits, actually I just said like indirectly the bad habits, like just have many maps to play. Yeah.
All right. Well, I really appreciate you coming on today and sharing your thoughts.
Oh, it was awesome. I hope I was coherent and not too rambly, because I know I can think of 10 things at the same time, and I can't finish one. Can't finish one idea properly.
I feel what you mean, man. All right, dude. Well, thank you so much again. I'm sure I'll see you around. And
I'm streaming often and playing the game always.
We tad. All right, man. Good having you.
All right.
See you, dude.
Bye-bye.